Good morning, everybody. It's a dog in the kennel on a Monday, Christmas week, the 21st of December, 2015. How is Santa going to come down the chimney with no snow? How's the sleigh going to handle all this dry weather? Well, hey, see the hat, baby? Today we mock the Bills. Ah, yes, the Bills. I spend most of my life as a sportscaster picking on the poor Buffalo Bills. I did it when I was doing a radio show, Weber on Sports for WSOW, for like 30 years. And then I took a break, and then I came back to work for Jimmy here, and I've been with him for 4 years, and I'm still mocking the Bills. They got to be one of the worst franchises ever. Yes, I know they went to 4 Super Bowls. Check the hat, folks. You ever thought the dog would don a Bills hat? But let's talk about this team. You know, if you look at the team objectively, and I try to do that on certain issues, everybody talks about this is not a rebuilding squad. Let's put this in proper context. They've got one of the greatest receivers, Sammy Watkins. The other side, they got Wood from Southern Cal. They got Clay, an outstanding tight end, even though he's banged up. Okay, they got a good quarterback. I like that kid. He makes a couple of dumb moves, but he's a good player. He likes to move with his legs. I dig that. They have the reputation of being one of the best defenses in the American Football Conference. And they bring in Rex, the Barnum and Bailey of all Barnum and Baileys, to coach the team, who is a defensive expert. He is a defense guru. The Bills defense signed 2 players to $100 million contracts. Do I need to remind you? Darius, Mario Super Williams. When's the last time you heard any of those 2 guys get a mention by a broadcaster, except for encroachment or offside? The bottom line is they have a lot of material. I hate the Bills. I always have hated the Bills. I love Jim Kelly, but I hate the Bills. They're a floundering, flubbing, ridiculous organization. And I noticed now we have 16 and counting. It is official. The Buffalo Bills are eliminated once again from playoff consideration. 16 straight years. And then I hear this morning that the Pagula family, Kim and Terry, who've got more money than they can count, are considering bringing in a czar to oversee the football operations. Another high-paid executive. What about Rex? He's a defensive guy. And oh, by the way, speaking of Rex, did he not, and I can replay the tape if you'd like me to in next week's show, where he guaranteed a playoff spot. He guaranteed it. So do I do. I check out Channel 8. I didn't stay up to watch it last night live because of all the delays in coverage. Rex Ryan was never pressed by one of the Buffalo media, not one of them, ever brought up in the post-news conference, hey, Rex, what do you got to say about you guaranteeing a playoff spot for the beloved Bills? Nobody asked the question. I would have loved to have been in that room. I probably would have got tossed because I would have put the heat on him. Rex, you guaranteed it. You let down the fans on one Buffalo drive yet again. So here we go. The flimsy, floppy, ridiculous franchise called the Buffalo Bills continue to disappoint the fan base. And I am still amazed. I'll go to my grave amazed that they can still draw 70-some thousand for home games. They got 2 games left. They're both at home. Dallas and the Jets, they're meaningless, and they'll be packed stadiums. Amazing. Either they're all on drugs or they're all drunk. I haven't figured out which one of they are. But one of the way or the other, I wouldn't go across the street to watch this worthless franchise. And folks, I know Rex Ryan should take a pie in the face for being an idiot. The dog in a couple of weeks will do that on this show. I've enlisted the talents of Tara Irway, who works here for Finger Lakes One downstairs. She's going to come up and slap me in the face with a pie. That'll be coming up in the next week or 2, and I'll be wearing this hat, which, by the way, was loaned to me by Kenny's 2 pennies. Enough about the Bills. Jimmy, it's just sickening. It's sickening for Western New York to see these idiots year in and year out. And as I just pointed out, Jimmy, they got a lot of talent. They do. They got talent.
Well, the amazing thing is that in the way that this NFL is, with all the parity, it's not hard to make the playoffs. Once out of every 16 years.
Unbelievable. And I mean, it's just shocking. So I'm going to take a pie in the face, and Rex should be taking one too. And he's not accountable. He's the Barnum and Bailey of that Buffalo Bills organization, and that's just the way it goes. Enough about the Bills. I'm sick to my stomach about them. That's why I'm mocking him wearing the hat this morning. Hey, by the way, I was at a local restaurant the other night with a buddy of mine, Frank the Tank Eldridge, and we ran into a gentleman named Tommy Morehouse. Tommy checks out the dog show. He is an RN, I believe, up in Geneva, a.k.a. nurse. Nice guy. I'm not sure he takes 3 quarts of oil. He might have had 2 that night because he was jabbering on about me picking on Joe Spazzato on this very same program a few weeks ago. He's a big fan of Spazzo. So Tommy Morehouse, the dog, sends out Merry Christmas to you, and it's great to have people come up to me and say they check out this show. By the way, the Redskins, who would have thought? The Redskins have the upper hand in the NFC East. I think they start off the year 1-4, and now they have the driver's seat to win that. Philadelphia, of course, loses big last night, gets crushed by Arizona. Who would have thought the Redskins could be holding that divisional title? 2 weeks to go.
The NFC East is a bit of a joke.
It is.
I mean, the Giants this year have given away so many games that they already had won. They just need 1 or 2 of those, and they'd be in control. And
amazing.
Yesterday against the Panthers was another close game that they couldn't pull out. And so the Giants aren't out of it yet, but looks like the Redskins got the upper hand in the East. But, of course, they got to play the Bills. So when the Bills are playing in a game that they need to win, then you could bet the other team.
Amazing. And by the way, whatever happened to RG3, they gave him about, $700 million or some freaking ridiculous amount of money. He's sort of like the water boy all of a sudden. I know he maybe was nicked up, and I can't believe he can't get out there and play, but now Cousins is leading the effort.
Cousins is great.
Yeah, playing good football, making smart decisions on his feet and also via the arm, and got to give credit where credit is due. It brings us back, speaking of the Giants, how many more rabbits does Tommy Coughlin, our great friend up in Waterloo, from Waterloo, superb athlete, phenomenal family, wife Judy, bunch of kids, love Tom Coughlin. How many rabbits does Tom have left in his bag? Assuming the Giants don't make the postseason, and I think that's a pretty good assumption, will the Mara family decide that it's enough with Tom and they move on to somebody else? I tend to think, I said this 2 years ago, I said it last year, that maybe Tommy was running out of rabbits. Jimmy, do you think it's possible the rabbits are still in the hat? Is it possible he could still be around?
In the NFL, well, you mean next year if they don't make the playoffs this year?
I just don't see it.
Yeah, it's tough to let a guy with 2 Super Bowl rings go. I think it would be his decision.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's anything that he's doing now that's due to his age is why they're struggling. And I don't, I don't really blame much of this on Coughlin. There's a couple things this season. A couple weeks ago, he had a chance to kick a field goal, and he went for it, and they ended up losing that game.
Right.
And, so I don't know if I can put this on Coughlin.
It's going to be interesting as time goes down, as the clock is ticking. By the way, speaking of that Giant game yesterday, yes, we know Odell Beckham is a superb athlete, a great receiver, even though Jim Senecropi and myself could have caught that one pass early in the game. It was right in the breadbasket. He dropped it. I think Kenny's Two Pennies, who's a non-athlete who does a show for this network, he could have caught the ball. Okay, and he's short. The point is, should have caught it, didn't catch it. But this Odell Beckham Mormon brawl yesterday, seen by yours truly and others who watched the game, was ridiculous. We all know that Odell Beckham is a rising star. And I think the officials, the Zebras, also know that, and they gave him too much leeway. He slammed his helmet into Mormon a couple of times. They were slapping each other. They were beating each other up, play after play after play. If you cannot imagine, if that was not Odell Beckham, if that was me or Jim, they would have given us one unsportsmanlike conduct, and then about 6 minutes later, they would have given us another one, and we would have been tossed. There is no way that Beckham and Mormon should have been in that game. Both should have been thrown out of the game unequivocally, no question about it. It didn't happen. And that is sad on the officiating. That is sad. And they were pressing Tom Coughlin in his post-news conference. I put him out there to play the game. Why didn't you bring him out for all his ridiculous penalties? I put him out there to play the game. He wouldn't get off the fact that he was playing the game. Well, he didn't play the game. He made an idiot out of himself, to be honest with you, and he took a lot of luster from my view of him. He's a superb athlete. But to me, there's no reason for that, and officials have got to take charge, whether you're a superstar or whether you're the third stringer. If you have conduct that's detrimental to the NFL, which that was, and that went on all game long, you got to be hooked.
I think what you'll find is that other top defensive backs will now try to aggravate him.
Bingo.
I mean, he's so good that your average DB probably wouldn't be a good strategy to try to get him stoked up. But for one of the top guys like Norman, I think they're going to be all over him every game trying to rattle his cage.
Yep. And by the way, Jimmy, I know you watch a lot of NFL like I do. What is it with these officials? Does every call require all 5 or 6 or 7 officials to go to midfield and get in a circle like it's a Boy Scout gathering? What is it with these officials? Have you noticed now they all get together on every call?
Yeah, I think they just want to get it right. They're all graded after every game. And I think they're just want to make sure they get it right. It does slow things down a little bit, but the games are long.
Yeah, it's just terrible. And by the way, I will comment about Finger Lakes Racetrack after the commercial break and their situation, which is not good. By the way, if you missed it, Lago, the New York State Gaming Commission, is supposed to meet today at 2 o'clock. Hopefully they're going to stream that so we can watch it. I asked Jim to see if he could find out if they are streaming it. The vote's supposed to take place on the licenses. It is expected that the licenses will be granted and that Lago, good old Lago, down there in old Tyre, New York, good morning, Tyre, will be getting one of those licenses. I sat in a courtroom the other day when they had an Article 78 or Article 90, 78, Article 78, they were discussing oral arguments about stopping it and doing more investigative work. And I met Tom Wilmot, nice guy, and I talked to him on the way out of the courthouse. He said, Harold, my blood pressure has been 200 points higher than it should be the last several months, and I'm sure it has been, Tom. And by the way, once this license is granted, we are expecting to get him and Bob Heisen on this show for a special show. We'll let you know more about that as time goes on. But that Gaming Commission is supposed to be announcing their decisions with the vote coming up this afternoon.
They better get it done today.
Yep.
It's been way too long.
Exactly.
They've been delayed, and I really don't understand all the opposition or the delay because there was a lengthy process, an application process, when they awarded the casino licenses. So, what's there to talk about? The process has been played out. Let's go with this thing already. And
by the way, before we take our commercial break, I must make a comment about the SI cover for the year, the Sportsman of the Year. I was not happy one iota that Serena Williams graced that cover. Serena Williams is a man-woman. She is a phenomenal athlete. She dominates her field, so does her sister. Yes, she's an outstanding athlete, but she did not, repeat, in my view, did not deserve the cover of SI as Sports Athlete of the Year.
Who should have got it?
American Pharoah.
No, that's a horse.
I don't care. A horse is a horse. It is a horse, Mr. Ed. He wins the Triple Crown plus the Breeders' Cup. They should have had his face on that cover, Jim, showing respect to the ownership, the jockey, and so forth. Who has won the Triple Crown plus the Breeders' Cup?
It's just Sportsman of the Year, though. Sportsman.
Well, they could change it to Sports Horse of the Year because this horse deserved the recognition. The Triple Crown.
Yeah, he did.
It hadn't been done in 37 years. Plus, he won the Breeders' Cup, which is, by the way, Jimmy, the most important racing series of the year. It's held every year, November-ish. I couldn't believe they gave it to Serena. I was thinking for sure that Mr. Ed, American Pharoah, deserved to be on that cover, and I am sad. And oh, by the way, I am not, repeat, not going to be buying a copy of SI just to protest. Hey, this is Weber This Week. We're going to talk about Finger Lakes Racetrack and the peril they are facing with the Lago decision pending. We got a few other comments to make. Hope you're enjoying Christmas week on a Monday. This is Weber This Week. We'll take our break and hear from our great sponsors that make it possible. Cayuga Lake National Bank. Bill Ryan and his team for all of your banking needs. Offices in Union Springs and Aurora. A fine sponsor of this show for over 30 years. DA Liquor, Seneca Falls. Amy Padula and her great team will find that right spirit for you every time. Tell Amy the dog sent you. Cicino's. Live, laugh, eat well. It's the Italian way. it's also the Chichino's way. Place your order today at chichinos.com. Locations, Main Street, Waterloo, and 401 Exchange Street in Geneva. The Good Hotel welcomes you to come out and enjoy the revitalization of this historical landmark. Wednesdays, don't forget Ladies' Night with special price drinks and half-priced appetizers. Tap is Thursday, and their chef serves a dinner special every night. The Gould Hotel in Seneca Falls. Steve Wadhams, Wadhams Enterprises, your employer of choice. Proud supporter of this show and local athletics. Bob and Leslie Ullman, owners of the Ullman Theater in Lyons, as well as the Newark Pilots, a minor league baseball team with a major league ballpark. SenecaFallsCountryClub.com, awesome 18-hole layout, offering a 12-month payment plan. Home of the toughest par 4 in Central New York. Wilson Press, WPress.com, Seneca Falls. Rich Ricky, my good friend, and his team can handle all of your printing and mailing needs. Rich Ricky, Wilson Press, a fine sponsor of Weber This Week. Welcome back, everybody. It's a dog with you, donning a Bills hat, trying to mock up a little bit more here on a Monday the 21st. Oh, by the way, if you just came back from Bulgaria, the Bills have now gone 16 straight years without a playoff. And to Mark Sharman and Brad Jones, who I play poker with every couple of weeks, they are diehard Bills fans, and they continue to be diehard Bills fans. I don't know why, but they are. And guys, I don't know. I'm going to send all of you Bills fans some rosary beads for Christmas. I'm going to pick them up today, get them from QVC. Hey, by the way, I must tell you that speaking of the Ullmans who sponsor this show, Bob and Leslie, owners of the Newark Pilots and the Geneva organization now, they're involved with them. They're going to be coming into the Perfect Game Collegiate Baseball League. Leslie is a big Carolina Panther fan, and if you hear screaming in the background of your living room or your man cave or woman cave every week with the Carolina Panthers, who now are 14-0, that'd be Leslie, who screams like a mad, mad lady with her Carolina Panthers. Congratulations, Leslie. Hope you're checking out the Dog Show this morning. Merry Christmas to you and Bob and families. And I know your Panthers are tough, and I'll tell you right now, folks, they could, if they want to, try to go for perfection. It'll be interesting to see what they do with Ron Rivera. Does he rest some of his starters the next couple of weeks, or does he play full bore? Hey, some comments about the Finger Lakes Racetrack and Casino. You know, there's a lot of, not rumors, factual, that the Delaware North company that owns Finger Lakes Racetrack have been subsidizing the anti-casino out in Tyre along with our friends down at Turning Stone. I think you could all say that's a fact. You know, having been a Seneca Falls resident, my wife Mary likes to play the slots. I sometimes enjoy it. Go up, have a little buffet, play a few slots, lose a little money, come home, get upset. Just kidding. But you know, the thing about Finger Lakes Racetrack, we went up there years ago when it first opened. It was okay. It wasn't spectacular. It wasn't something that would turn you on to go visit, in my view. They had not a whole lot of machines there. But then they got the permission to increase their visibility. They got a lot of money. They put a lot of their own money into remodeling that place, increasing the size of Finger Lakes Racing Casino. And I got to be honest with you, we haven't been up there in quite a while, but it is beautiful. They have, an outstanding restaurants inside. They have a lot more machines to play. It's clean. Bunch of bars. You can hang out and have a sandwich and a drink. My point is, the impending decision regarding Lago, I think, is their death knell. I don't know how they're going to survive. And I was kind of thinking about that when the Finger Lakes Times produced an editorial or a story yesterday's paper regarding the Finger Lakes Racetrack people are going to be asking for a reduction in race days for their thoroughbred side. They do 156 days of racing each year. They're going to be asking the New York State folks that in charge of racing to reduce that by some 30 days down to 120 some. And I started thinking, I'm not a big horse better. I do bet the Breeders' Cup. There's about 13 races. I usually bet a couple bucks on each race because that is the ultimate in my mind, where you have the best horses around the world that compete every year, once a year. We do bet the Triple Crown, too, my wife and myself, because we were married on May 7th, which was the Kentucky Derby, the first Saturday of May. So we always bet the Derby, the Preakness and the Belmont, and we pull like mad to see if we could win a couple of bucks. My point is, from a horse racing standpoint, I don't consider myself one of those old guys with a cigar in their mouth reading through the program and trying to understand what horse should win the next race. I don't get into it. I usually go by numbers or by names. But it's pitiful up there. It really is pitiful for the racing side of it. I mean, to be honest with you, when they increased the awareness and increased that place and made it more modern, and they were going to bring in more revenues, which they no doubt have done that, some of the extra revenue is going to go to the horse side of the business and bring in more horses to compete. In my honest view, and it's simply only my view, not Jimmy's and not FingerLakes1.com, it appears to me they've never really achieved that goal. Where I'm going with this discussion is if you look at Finger Lakes Racetrack and you flash back the last few months, there are days where they were setting up an 8-race card. In all of my life at 70 and a half years old, I never heard of an 8-race card. It's 9 races. In harness racing, they run 12 or 13 races. They had 8-race cards several days this past year. They had races where there were five horses in the race. That gets rid of the trifecta. There's no superfecta. My point is that has eroded to the degree where they should get rid of racing completely, not just cut back the schedule, just get rid of it because it's an embarrassment. I used to go with Mary way back when, and we used to sit up in the clubhouse. I think it cost you $1 or $2 to go up there, get a beer. Mary would get a glass of wine. We'd order lunch, watch all the races from an air-conditioned clubhouse. That was nice. It was classy. A few months later, we decided to go back, and we were going to go to the clubhouse, went up to the clubhouse stairs, closed. I asked one of the workers there what happened. They said they didn't get enough people to justify keeping the clubhouse available. To me, folks, to be very honest with you, and I have nothing against Finger Lakes Racing, but they got to somehow figure a way to just make it Finger Lakes Casino because as far as I'm concerned, the racing is really a non-factor up there. It's sad. No horses, can't fill a field, got to have 8 race cards. Are you kidding me? It is time to say goodbye to racing. And what saddens me even worse, with Lago minutes away from possibly getting a license, or I should say hours away from possibly getting a license, I don't know who's going to go from Seneca County or Wayne County to Canandaigua to play slots. I've really figured this out. And I did talk to somebody. I asked Chris Regal, the president, to come on this show. He refused. He did tell me on the phone, thousands and thousands of people come every month from this area up to his place. Mm-hmm. Who's going after Lago comes in? Who? Me and Mary? Not a chance.
Well, the one thing that would make people come would be the races, the horse races. That's the one thing that would separate them a little bit. I've never been a big machine guy as casinos. I'd rather play a table game than a machine.
Right.
And honestly, I've never played any of the machines up there at Finger Lakes, but
it's deplorable.
It would be too bad to lose horse racing in the Finger Lakes. It's a unique thing that a lot of regions don't have access to a track like that. But
it's sad.
It isn't the same. I used to actually go up when I was younger. Up there, and a friend of mine had an uncle that worked there, so we'd go up and sometimes spend the day up there betting $1 or $2 on a.
Sure.
We probably shouldn't have been, but
that's all right. It'll be interesting. See what happens. I hope for their sake they stay around. But I don't know how they're going to. I don't know who in their right mind is going to leave this area to go up there. When you consider Lago's anticipating 2,300 slot machines, and I'm sure they're going to be a new variety. We'll have to wait and see, but I really feel bad about the racing side of that business, and I don't know how they're going to save that, and they're going to cut back their racing schedule. We'll have to wait and see. Hey, by the way, Jimmy and myself follow, 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars, individuals who decide to go on to college and pick a school. You may wonder why Indiana University football program is never any good. Well, it isn't like they don't have good athletes. They got a kid named, Brock Johnson. Now, who's Brock Johnson? He only is the number 1 rated player in the country. Quarterback. Number 1 for all the sports, rival.com, all these college people that look at all the talent in the country for high school kids. Brock Johnson, rated number 1, a 5-star. If they had a 6-star, he'd get that. You think he's staying in town to play at Indiana? No. Where do you think he's going? Jimmy, where do you think he's going? Brock Johnson.
Notre Dame, Florida State,
Clemson.
USC, Clemson, yeah.
Going to Clemson.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about now.
Brock Johnson, the phenomenal prime rib filet mignon player of the century in this country, rated by everybody as the greatest player they ever saw. Granted, it's high school. Instead of staying home, no. I'm going to Clemson. What's the old adage? The rich get richer and the poor get poorer, Jim. It's the way it is in the world of football.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Football.
It's unbelievable. And I got to tell you, Jimmy, I don't know about you, if you agree with me or not, these 40 bowl games are a joke. I flipped on and watched about 12 seconds of a couple games of the night.
It's so worthless and boring. Unless you're one of the guys, unless you're a fan of one of the teams in it, it means nothing.
Jim.
It's terrible. Expand the playoffs.
Oh.
You have even expand it. Have an NIT version for football. Have at least 8 teams in the main playoffs, and then do another 8-team bracket.
Do something novel. When has 6 wins out of 12 been something that you deserve a perk? I've been arguing this for months. When has 6 wins ever become a perk? In college football, it's a perk. If you win 6 and lose 6, you go to a bowl game. To me, make it 7. Get rid of 20 of these freaking bowl games. There's 40 bowl games. And I don't know, I should have done my research for coming on the air this morning, but I would venture to say there's probably 8 or 10 of those teams that are 6 wins, maybe more. The point is, why reward a team for 6 wins? At least make the criteria 7. I just get so fed up watching these. I don't even turn it on anymore. If I see college football, I will watch the big games, like Jim pointed out. That means something. But it's a joke. It's all a money grab, as you know, Jim. It's all about money.
Yeah, I don't know where they're getting the money from. The sponsors, I guess, but it's not nothing worth watching right now.
Oh, it's terrible. And by the way, as we get ready to wrap up this show, Pete Rose situation, been denied eligibility to come back in for potential Hall of Fame voting. Been banished by Rob Manfred, the commissioner of baseball. And the crux of the matter is, in talking to Pete, excuse me, I got the gags all of a sudden. In researching Pete Rose about his admission back into the Major League Baseball spectrum, they discovered that Pete still bets on games. And that was just the straw that broke the camel's back. And they have denied him admission back into baseball. So I guess, Jimmy, if you're trying to repent, it might have been a good thing for Pete while he was trying to get back into baseball, not to bet on games.
Probably. I don't care. He's got more hits than anybody ever play the game.
Right.
And the way he played the game was the way that you would expect a Hall of Famer to play the game.
Right.
It's free country. You can bet on games now. He's retired. Yeah, if he was trying to really put everything he could into getting eligible for the Hall,
maybe he would,
and back into baseball, he maybe should have given it up. But I don't care. He should be in the Hall of Fame. Just put him in. Let's go on with our lives. So when you go to Cooperstown, you can see the all-time leading hit leader.
I agree.
So what baseball's about is getting hits, and nobody got more than Pete Rose.
And that's right. In our closing comments, our continuing coverage of high school basketball, take a little bit of a break until the 29th. That'll be a week from tomorrow. Dave Barnick will have the call. Clyde Savannah Golden Eagles coming to Minders Academy, taking on the Blue Devils. That'll be our last game, obviously, this year. And the dog will be coming out on January 2nd. I got a doubleheader, Waterloo, Sodas in Waterloo, a doubleheader, the girls and the boys. Jimmy,
that's just boys. There's no girls.
Oh, just boys.
It changed.
Oh, it did get changed. Okay, just one game. And Jimmy, speaking of high school basketball, it's been a topsy-turvy league, a lot of different scenarios. Of course, a big game coming up Wednesday, North Rose-Wolcott entertaining East Rochester.
Yep, 2 undefeated teams in the actually, there's 3 undefeated teams in all the Wayne Finger Lakes. Dundee in the West, and they play Naples this week, who's 1 loss. Naples has the red jacket. First loss in 27 regular season games. But the big game in Wayne County Wednesday night, East Rochester coming to Wolcott to face North Rose-Wolcott Cougars. Obviously, the winner of that game has an upper hand on the Wayne County League title. And a little contrast of styles, East Rochester really likes to get up and down. They're very deep. Meanwhile, North Rose-Wolcott, not that deep. They can run with you, but they really aren't. They go about 6 deep, maybe 7. So, and probably the best player on either team there is be junior guard Tyler Norris.
Outstanding player.
Who, in our game Thursday at the Atwood, just if you watch the fourth quarter of that game, he just took over offensively for North Rose and ended up winning that game for the Cougars. So, it's a good game. It'd be worth a little drive up to Wolcott. What is it, $3? Go see a game, $4? See a high school basketball game. Well worth it for this one, I think.
Yeah, and we're media members, so it don't cost us anything. So
no, I guess
better.
not.
It's even better than that. Hey, by the way, Jimmy, you all set for Christmas? Getting ready to go?
I got to get out somewhere and buy a couple things.
All right. Well, hey, folks, I can't say enough about our great sponsors. We do have one more show this year, obviously, and it's a special show, and Jimmy will be promoting it heavily, I'm sure, next weekend. Jack Stenberg, Seneca County Sheriff, his Undersheriff, Gary Sullivan, will be here next week on our show, talking about their 7-8 years in office, overseeing the Sheriff's Department. Tim Luce and John Clear will take over as of January 1st, but a special show next week. The outgoing Sheriff and Undersheriff, Jack Stenberg, Gary Sullivan, will be here live on Weber This Week next week. And on January 4th, by the way, our first show of next year, Jessica and Company, of course, that outstanding Jessica Elias, who had a business down the street here, moved to Waterloo. She's going to send a bunch of pictures for Jimmy. We're going to show them while we talk to Jessica about her new. I was up there personally a few weeks ago. It's outstanding. We're going to talk about her new location and how she's doing on the brand spanking opportunity for her to change locations and how it's all going up in Waterloo. I was in there to check it out, and it's really got amazing potential. So she'll be our first guest in 2016. And a special show coming up February 1st, Dr. Rodney Littlejohn will be. He's a hard guy to get a hold of, and he's going to come in and do a show talking about his career and his career that continues, obviously. He's a great guy, and he does a phenomenal work in the orthodontics field, et cetera, et cetera. So from us here at Finger Lakes One, as I'm losing my voice, I'd like to say for Jimmy Senecropi and myself and my wife Mary and daughter Samantha and Izzy and all my granddaughter and everybody in the Weber family, we wish you all a Merry, Merry Christmas. And don't take this Buffalo Bills hat too serious, folks. I'm trying to mock them. I'll let you know the date we're going to take the pie that Rex Ryan should have taken yesterday afternoon, about 4:30. But he's a gutless wonder he didn't do it. I'll take one for Rex and show you Bills fans what a man should do when he makes a guarantee and it doesn't work out. Take care, everybody. That's Weber This Week, my way.
By becoming a patron of FingerLakes1.com. Visit patreon.com/FL1.
FingerLakes1.com. Come on and join